Hi, I'm Jessica Jackson of the Thriving in Motherhood podcast, and today I want to share with you some of my favorite homeschooling books that'll get you excited to jump in this fall. And even if you're not a homeschooler, hopefully it'll just give you inspiration for an idea of what type of mother you want to be or what type of family culture you want to have, even if your kids go to public school. We are not exclusionary here.
Hi, I'm Jessica Jackson, and this is the new way to thrive in motherhood by leaning into who you are, what you love, your unique family situation, and personal mission to create a life that you actually want to live. I want to invite you to join me in saying no to the life of the exhausted supermom, burnout, victim thinking, being pulled in so many directions, suffering through survival mode, or being lost in motherhood, and say yes to building strong families and moving forward on our greatest goals in order to create a fulfilling life that we are excited to wake up to each day and become a soaring mother. This is the Thriving in Motherhood podcast.
I want to take just a moment and share a free gift that I've created for you called 3 Secrets to Do More of What You Love Without Hiring a Babysitter. This workshop is available for you to go watch right now and start taking action on so that you can do more of what you want to do, more of what's on your heart, more of what is important to you with your children at home. You don't have to wait for them to be in school or for you to have loads of time. There are ways to start moving forward right now. And you can check that out at thrivinginmotherhoodpodcast.com/workshop. So I've got a big stack and I'm going to go through, maybe not in any particular order. Now, these are books. I have a rule that I only buy books that I've checked out from the library 3 times. So these are the ones that have made the cut. And there's a few here that I have checked out that I don't have with me that I have checked out many times that I just haven't purchased. So I will share those with you too. So my first recommendation here is from the Clarkson family. It is Educating the Wholehearted Child. Now, this is the book that I read when I had a 2-year-old, and there is a chapter in here about living. So I actually didn't read this book. In its entirety, I just read these chapters about like home organization and management and taking care of the soul and living as a good family, and use that kind of figuring that if she could homeschool all of her kids and do all these other stuff, then I can probably do the other stuff even without, if I'm not homeschooling. And so after reading that book and then reading a lot of her other books, I did go back and buy this book and read the other parts of it. And it was a good foundational beginning for my homeschool. I wouldn't say that we do things by this book, but again, we're going for things that are going to inspire you and get you excited about homeschooling. And this did that for me. Along with that, as long as we're talking about Sally Clarkson, I've got The Life-Giving Home. Now, I love Sally Clarkson's books. I've read lots of them, and I don't agree maybe necessarily with everything or see eye to eye in every scriptural interpretation, but that's sort of beside the point. There is so much goodness in these books, and they've inspired me so much as a mom. And I love, again, this is like, if you're not a homeschooling family, this is a great one. It's about the life-giving home and creating a place of belonging and becoming, as the title. But I just was so inspired by this, and because not only homeschooling is about home, and I feel like that's a personal quest that I've been on, is trying to figure out what home is, especially where we have moved so many times. We've never lived by family. I don't have any place in my life that has been there the whole time. Like, I'm a very transient person. I don't have like, this is my home that I grew up in. Like, we went to so many homes, so many houses. So this was part of my personal quest, but also very much so inspired my homeschooling journey and the culture of our home. This one is The Home Education by Charlotte Mason. Charlotte Mason's British educator, 1900s. This is her book. She's wrote 6 books. I have them all right here on this bookshelf. But this is the first one that I read probably when my oldest was 5. And it gave me a really good overview of those first few years and what that looks like before my kids are school age. And then those early years. And I, again, was just so inspired by this and did a lot of things by this book, and I am slowly working through the rest of her books. but have really found them enjoyable. Now, another book I don't have here, but I have read many, many times is The Charlotte Mason Companion by Karen Andriola. And if you are completely new to the Charlotte Mason world, I recommend reading that book first because she introduces you to loads of principles and ideas. And Karen Andriola has written many books. She's written one about mother culture, which is the idea of like mothers having interests and hobbies and learning things and cultivating a good life for themselves. It's a Charlotte Mason concept, but so she's written a book about that that's really interesting. And then she's also written 2 fiction books. I think it's like Lessons from Blackberry Inn, and I forget the other one, but they're like companions. It's about the same people. And she wanted to create a novel specifically for moms to see like how Charlotte Mason life plays out, like if you subscribe to that educational philosophy. And so those are all really fun books that are, I don't know, they're inspirational, right? They get me excited to homeschool my kids. So Charlotte Mason herself, and then some of these other ones that are kind of offshoots from the Charlotte Mason. They were also inspired by Charlotte Mason. Another one, do I have it here? So, For the Children's Sake by Susan Schaefer Macaulay. This is another Charlotte Mason. She was inspired by Charlotte Mason and wrote this book about how she educates her kids. So this one's sort of like The Charlotte Mason Companion by Karen Andriola. And both of these ladies wrote their books, I think in the 80s or early 90s. So these have been around for a long time, but very inspirational. Okay, not in my stack. I don't know why I haven't bought this book. I check this out every year, but it is Teaching from Rest by Sarah Mackenzie. She's got a podcast about reading. I forget what it is. I haven't listened to it in a while, but I did years ago. It was very helpful. But her book, my big takeaway, there's 2 takeaways from that book. And then she's got so many. It's a very short one. It's a quick read. So if you're feeling overwhelmed, that's just a great one to get you inspired and excited about homeschooling again. But one line in there that has always stuck with me is, whose well done are you looking for anyway? The idea of it's God's, our relationship with God and what he cares about in our homes and with teaching our children that matters the most. And 2, she's the one that teaches loop scheduling. Sorry, guys. She's the one that teaches loop scheduling, which is the idea of instead of doing certain subjects on certain days, you put a few things in a loop and you just do one after the other so that those subjects that you're not often getting to, you miss less often. So I really love her writings. Okay, we're starting to get a long list. Okay. The Well-Trained Mind. Now, this is a book that I checked out many times. It's meaty and I bought it. This is for classical education. And what I love about this book is let me rephrase this. The first time I read the book, I was like, this is like everything else. And I just didn't do anything with it. But I read it again last year and it just opened my eyes. It was so helpful for what my goals are when a child is 6, when the child is 10, during those middle school years and high school years, and very clearly lays out the skills that they're supposed to be developing and kind of the vision for those different phases, again, with a classical education model, which goes really well with Charlotte Mason. The 2 fit really nicely together. And so, and then it has resources, not only, so it kind of gives this overview of the scope of what you're trying to do with every year, but then it also has loads of resources. And I have leaned heavily on this book and I return to it again and again. In fact, I just got a bunch of math things. Anyway, I've gotten a lot of resources from this book. Really love it. Today's episode is brought to you by the Thriving in Motherhood Journal. This is my go-to tool to completely change how you will experience motherhood. I created it during some really hard seasons in my life to change how I was thinking about my life and to bring more meaning, fulfillment, and joy into the everyday and including the really hard days. This is based in the latest research of positive psychology, high performance habits, cognitive behavioral therapy, gratitude research, as well as some scriptures from the Bible to bring in a spiritual element as well. And as you learn to ask these questions to yourself, it changes how you see your day. It changes what you focus on. And as you change your focus, you will find that you are feeling so much more joy. You can learn more today at thrivinginmotherhoodpodcast.com/journal. If you are brand new to homeschooling, like brand spanking new, or you're curious about it, this Wild and Free, Call of the Wild and Free by Ainsley Armett is a great starting place. I feel I don't align with her view about why we homeschool. She looks very negatively at the public school option or private school option. Feels like it's very, anyway, she writes very, very strongly against those options and very, very, very pro homeschool. I feel like it's more, it doesn't have to be quite so intense. But what's in this book that's helpful is an overview of all of the different homeschooling styles. So if you're like, what's Charlotte Mason? What's classical education? What's unschooling? What's all these things? It's laid out really well. And then it also addresses like lots of, I don't know, myths and ways of doing things. She is the one that organized the Wild and Free books that I've talked about many times on here. And they used to be like you had to purchase them a subscription, $20 a month, and you get a little magazine every month, which is what I did for years. And now lots of those resources are in books that I've, again, linked here before. So this is probably my least favorite of all of her resources that she has put together or compiled. And yet I still see value in it. I own this book. It's a great if you're just getting started. If you've been in the homeschool world for a while, though, I don't know that it would be as helpful. And then this one is one I have read a gazillion times. I love this book. This is for years birth to 6. So if you still have young kids, this is my like go-to resource for sure for those early years before 6 years old. It is based in Waldorf education, but this book changed my life because it helped me realize that it doesn't just have to be about children all day long, that the things that we do to run a home are blessing our children, getting our kids involved in those things are blessing our children, as well as how to create like a really rich environment. So often we talk about like screens or not being, no screens. And this is like, there's a gazillion, as was written before screens, like there's a gazillion options, like how to bring in music or dolls or dancing or outdoor things or move like rhythm or setting your environment up so the kids can sort through the junk mail while you go through real mail and sweep have the kids sweep with you and do laundry with you and bake with you, but how to do it like in a reasonable way. So highly recommend and totally love You're Your Child's First Teacher. Okay, a few other favorites real quick. So Brave Learner by Julie Bogart is one of my favorite books. If you're someone that really struggles with, are you wondering if you're doing enough? If you're feeling like your kids have to keep up with everyone else, if your kids struggle to do the curriculum, if they struggle with reading or writing and you're trying to like get them up to speed and feeling, bad about it or worried about it. If you go read this book, it will help open your eyes to, or if you're stressed about high school transcripts, okay, if you're stressed about like, now it matters because my kids are older, this is a really great book to pull back the layers, to be able to see another way of doing things, to feel a little more confident and to find some fun and joy in the process of homeschooling. So highly recommend that one. And let's see, Awaking Wonder is another Sally Clarkson book that just came out a few years ago. So I read it I think it was during COVID it came out. And I shared with you already about educating the wholehearted child. And that's kind of the manual how-to, what it looks like. But Awaking Wonder is the kind of the narrative story of what it was like for her homeschooling her 4 kids that are now all grown, and many of them are married and they have PhDs and are, very successful. But it's just a story that she kind of tells of as with these principles kind of lived out. So I hope that these get you excited for jumping into the new school year, whether you are with a mom with little kids who hasn't started yet, or whether you know you're homeschooling and you just need to get a boost of encouragement, or if you are in public school but you want to bring some of this, get some ideas and vision and bring it into your family culture, that this inspires you. I am excited to talk with you next week.
Where you are planted, watch the blossoms grow.